Hi everyone, this is Sarah Wood. I'm the current NFIRS Program Manager for the state of Kansas, and I work for the Office of the State Fire Marshal headquartered in Topeka, Kansas. And today's video is not necessarily about NFIRS or fire data or reports or anything. It's something that nobody really told me would be such an integral part of what I do, but looking back, I can't believe that I didn't really understand how important it was. And that's contact databases. It's really hard to get the information to the people we need to get it to if we don't have a good solid contact database, if it's not updated, if it's not well kept, and if it's not easily accessible. So about 3.5 years ago is when I started, and I had an Excel spreadsheet that was about 10 years outdated. And I had the lovely job of trying to figure out which fire departments were even still active, who was still the fire chief or who was different, and who was my contact for KFIRS, which is what we call NFIRS in Kansas. And we found several years later, after I had already made my own contact database, is that different units in my own office had their own spreadsheets, and they would update theirs, or I would update mine, and then we wouldn't be updated among each other. So it was kind of a mess. And then the fire marshal said, let's fix it. So we did, and now we have a shared contact database. And I wanted to tell you that story so you understand why my contact database has a lot more than just NFIRS in it. It has several different tags. So I'll just give you a sneak peek in it. It was built in Access. There are two reasons why I built it in Access. The first is I had Access on hand, and the second is I knew what to do. So if I knew how to use Access and that's what I had, that's just what it wound up with. So here's what it looks like when it first opens up. I have a number of tables over here. Access is what we call relational database software, which is basically made up of spreadsheets that talk to each other through a linked field. And all of these tables are linked through the FDID because all of my fire departments have a unique fire department ID number. So I have tables over here, queries, which I'll explain here in a minute. And then I have forms. And forms are basically making something pretty. It's basically the difference between a paper NFIRS report and a spreadsheet of NFIRS data. So the form gives you a look at something very quickly and easily. So this is what you see, and these buttons down here that all start with email list, those are all queries, and what it does is it finds all the contacts or fire departments based on a set of criteria. So like this email list is for fire chiefs only. It only goes to somebody who's tagged a fire chief from a fire department. And in some fire departments, we have multiple contacts considered a fire chief because they have station chiefs and then they've got a department supervisor. Weird setup, but anyway, it works for us. And then we have an email list for NFIRS like I have. We have different ones for like there's hospital information, code, public education. Over here, we've got the trumpet, which is actually goes to every email address in our database. It's our quarterly publication. So all of these little email lists are basically queries, and that's all this side over here. Queries are basically filters of your tables so that you can find something that you need specifically. So when you first open it up, the database is split into two sides. There's the non-fire department side that deals with all the companies and agencies we might need to maintain contact with. Those are like fire extinguisher testers, school contacts. We have all the USDs in there, all the superintendents and principals are in there. Definitely more the public education side and prevention side and even inspectors. And then we have view fire department. If we have an email and we don't know who it's associated with, we can actually search for an email. We type it in here and then it goes and finds it for us. But as soon as you hit View Fire Department, it brings you to this screen. And let me see if this is, I'm going to extend this out here. We don't need to see this for now, so you can see more. So this is basically a form. Like I said, it just takes the data and makes it pretty and chunks it out. And I've entered a bunch of test data here. So at the top we have FDID, which is test. This is where it says the name, test fire department, county, region, and then I have added classification in here, and that's the class of the city that a fire department might protect. So class 1, class 2, class 3, or a lot of times it's blank for the rural ones. I have a mailing and a physical address. It's not always the same. I have a city, state, and zip. I do maintain what somebody's using for their NFIRS. If you want to, I suggest it if you're an NFIRS program manager. It helps me. As soon as somebody is calling me on the phone and they tell me a fire department name, I'm coming to my database and I'm pulling them up, and then I'm looking at when was the last time I talked to them, is even a contact that I have, what software do they have, and then we can speak the same language. I have a department comments here. Those are general comments about the entire department. Something like, I just created this department on 4/25, or this department merged with another department on 4/25, something about the entire department. And then I have these are called subforms. And subforms are ways to add records to the original record. So what this means is this adds contact records associated with this fire department. And they're all related using the FDID. You can't actually see it here in this table because I have FDID hidden, but when you add in a contact, it's adding in an FDID there as well. So you can have multiple people for one fire department, and it helps because you're not creating multiple fire department listings. If you had an Excel spreadsheet, you would have to add in a lot more columns, or you would have to duplicate information down. And this is where Access shines, because it lets you do one report for the fire department, and you can add in all the contacts you need, and it's just really quick and easy to do. So I have the title, I've got contact names, I've got emails. I do keep additional emails in here. Some of my contacts have 2 emails and they want both of them to receive an email. And then we have columns over here. And these columns are actually the tags that generate the email lists that I just showed you previously. If I put a Y, so like if I put a Y in the trumpet, that means that when I generate that list for trumpets, this email will then show up. So this testjunior@test.com is going to show up in the trumpet email. The chief listing is actually based on the title itself. There's no column for that. I have notes. Every time I talk to a department or talk to a contact, I add in a note. I'll say like 4/25/2017, reset password, gave new password. And if it needs a follow-up or not, I'll put in my name because I'm the one that talked to them, because we have multiple people using this database, and then whoever I talk to. Testerson Jr. And that way, the next time I talk to them, I can know how many times I'm helping them. I can know if nobody's called me in a long time. There's no back and forth over, well, I talked to you, no, I didn't talk to you. I keep it here. And people are always constantly surprised by the amount of information that I record whenever I talk to them. If I do an appearance, whether that's like a conference, an open house, give training, anything like that, if I provide a class and it says which class that is, and this, I'm the main one who uses this in our office, but anybody could use it in our office. And then I have data requests. It's important for me to know how often I'm using somebody's data, or how often a fire department's requested their own data. If I've had a reporter request a data set from a particular fire department, I record that here. When was it requested? Why? What did I give? I also keep a copy of whatever spreadsheet or data was given in a special folder outside of this, so I know exactly what was given. But I try to keep this here. And it also, at the end of the year, allows me to look and see quickly how many data requests I had total. So when it's time for me to have a yearly review, I already have the stats here. The same with notes and appearances. That's really kind of double checks to help me know, okay, I've already done 15 of these classes, but I haven't done, I haven't even done 5 of the other class. So it really helps me know. And then how many times I've talked to people. So that's the setup for this. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually make this one. But I didn't want to get you too long in here. Just keep going through the playlist, and then you'll see. You don't have to make it as shiny and pretty as I have, but it's definitely made my life a lot easier. There's nothing wrong with spreadsheets if you want to work in spreadsheets. Do what you know and do what you can succeed.